Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I am back for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. And here's a bit of a view of how I am going as I start to stitch things down. So you've previously seen the other side of the piece that has some of that lovely belt buckle from Betty, this beautiful Corsica vineyard scene, the butterflies that I've been stitching down, my bigger antique butterfly piece. I put this little insignia on. I found this little feather from a parrot when I was cleaning up our hall table yesterday. It was sitting in a little vase with other little found treasures. So I've just put a pin in and I'm going to add it in just below this piece. I've got this gorgeous piece that I created with my Nana's vintage button collection and a beautiful quote about out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. I've got these little butterflies. I've then been integrating in other pieces of lace, and what I've been doing is leaving the edges of pieces not stitched down, just stitching in a bit in from the edge so that I can tuck pieces of lace underneath. And in the case of this beautiful piece of vintage antique lace here, I just sort of fitted it in so that I'm not losing too much of it under other pieces. I've got this vintage curtain pull, I think it would have been, but like a doilied or crocheted one, and which I'd coloured up with my metallic watercolours. And I've got this button that I found at the Bright Op Shop with my initial and Alex's initial on it, and then this beautiful little scene of an ancient mosaic that I think I got as a little magnet at the museum in Berlin. I can't remember the name of it, many years ago while travelling. It's since lost its magnet, so I actually used a shisha style stitch, which we did recently in our stitch along, to stitch that and hold that securely. So it actually forms a little, I guess, a border around it that holds it in place, even though this doesn't have like a buttonhole or anything to hold it in place. I've got my beautiful C embroidery here, monogram, and then again I've integrated some lovely bridal lace and have that extending across here. I've got another little piece of it that I'm yet to stitch down, but I've got pinned in place. I've got another piece of vintage lace extending up here. So I'm planning to work up here today, so I'll just need to jiggy my piece over. And I was also going to give you an update on where I got to on my Beehive piece as well. So let's just work out how best we can position ourselves. I want to be able to, yeah, that will be okay, I think. Just need to make sure I know where we've got where I need to sort of stay within when I'm working in the area. So yeah, I might just move it a smidge over that way, and I'm going to work in this sort of zone I think today, and we can see down to there, so that's good. So this is where I got to with the Beehive piece. So finished off sort of beading down here, did some more little stitches, did some little buds on the top of those little German knotted stitches, some more little stitches there, seed stitches up here. So I'm just using a regular cotton, just doing little single strokey little flower stitches. Did some more little seed stitches up here. Some stitches over the ribbon with two different colours of thread. Got a little metallic cross there. I think we did the flower in that one. Can't remember if I'd stitched around these in the video. But yeah, really happy with how that looks. So that will be going on a bit further over this way. So I'll just put that aside for now. And I'll grab down the box of goodies that I'm planning to use for this piece. So I better just tap it and make sure that we're in focus. So this is a box of goodies that I've looked out particularly for my Nana, but also picking up on our commonality, or my commonality with my Nana, of just loving being creative. So I've got this creating piece, which is a more modern piece. I've got this fabric, which I probably need to properly, with the edges, I like to sort of pre-fray them so they get a bit of a frayed border on them. So that sometimes takes just a bit of effort just to, and you can help it along. Just get yourself a needle You can just try and go a few rungs into the fabric to fray it down a bit. Just do that along the length of it. So I love this fabric because it's got a little, all the little sewing things on it, which is very sweet. So yeah, I just like to sort of get nice edges by doing that. Just fraying it down, and if after that you need to kind of trim it, if the frayed edge is really uneven and that bothers you, you can do that. But generally, if people have kind of cut their fabric on the grain, then you should be okay. It shouldn't be rapidly, widely crooked. I was watching the lovely Belladora Crafts last night while she was working on her Roxy piece while I was tidying up my desk, which had got into an atrocious mess. Not sure about that one. So I want to incorporate some of these vintage bits of snap fasteners. I've got this one out of my Nana's button box, and I just love that it's still on cardboard. It's burgundy. It's still got all the loose threads coming through. It's just so old. So I definitely want to have that in. I've also got this little packet of needles, Penny Packet Superior Waistcoat Rug Needles, number 18 Fordels. So I think it's quite old. So I'm going to work out a way to attach these without damaging them. I've got a little piece of patchwork because my Nana did a lot of patchworking. This wasn't from hers. This is just from a printed patchwork fabric that was from a vintage cushion that I got from an op shop. So that I've made myself a little, using a wired ribbon. So this ribbon's pretty cool because it will sort of hold its shape, and I've stitched into that because the prompt is script or quotes or words, so seamstress, which is what Nana was. So I thought that might be nice, and I'm thinking I might try and do a little flower on the end of this so we can get to that. I've got a little applique flower, and I quite liked her green, so I've also got some little greeny coloured buttons. This beautiful button, I'm not even sure what material that is. Little part of a measuring tape from a vintage measuring tape. I was thinking the laces could come in handy for anchoring down some of these sections. I've got a applique piece of lace to add. Got an old brooch that I thought could go beautifully as well, because Nana did love her garden also. Got some vintage, just beautifully glossy wooden vintage reels. These are J&P coats, 80 yards, super sheen, and they definitely sheen. All these years later, they came in a bulk lot of vintage goodies I got that someone was ready to throw out from their grandmother's garage, but I happily took them. This very old button, it's got a flower design on it, but I thought it's a beautiful goldy colour. Got a Suffolk puff, not sure if I'll use that, and some other assorted buttons. Some of them are from the reverse art truck, which I thought is nice because this piece comes from the reverse art truck. And both Nana was very frugal. She would always use scraps and all sorts of things. That's why I think she liked the patchworking. And I like to go to the reverse art truck to save things from going to landfill, and also getting things from Facebook Marketplace or other places if I can, save them going into waste and give them a new life. Just got this little edging piece of a handkerchief, and this little embroidered flower came off it as well. So I thought I might integrate that in. I've got this piece, which I'm actually thinking might go nicely around the border here. I've got a Kathy Holden vintage sewing scissor piece, so that would be nice. I've got this from, I think I got this fabric from Lucello in Melbourne. It's got some other bits on the design, but I thought I'd use a section of that. Nana always had her thimbles, and this one is about coloured silks, summer silks, foulards, coloured grosgrain silks. So yeah, I thought a little fabric, because Nanna did love her fabric shop. Loved the one that she had round the corner called Darn Cheap Fabrics. And then just got a beautiful glass button that I thought might be nice to include as well. So they're my materials that I'm thinking of making a little assemblage coming over from where I've already got the button pieces for Nanna, and turning that into a little collage. So let me just now move the things down. Actually, let's start with this little lace piece, because I do think that would be nice to have coming around. I'm just going to reach across, excuse me, and grab my pins. As much as I don't love the pins, I will use them for now. Might just unpin this piece while I get it all sorted. So I was thinking I can bring this around to about here. Because these little collar pieces work beautifully on sort of curves. But I think I'll put this bit under there. And then I've got, you probably can't see it down the bottom, but I've got that lovely little piece of bridal lace that I think I'll put on top of the other one. So it's just a bit of layering that I'm doing. Let me just catch that little piece of bridal lace. Then I can pin these ones down. Oh, there's a pin. And once I've got it all pinned down, then I can jump around and put a few stitches in so I can get rid of the pins, because I hate working with pieces that have pins in them. I don't love it. I want to get this one probably a little bit further down into the design, just so that it's not showing its little white border. So get pinned here first. I love these little vintage collar pieces. I think they're incredibly sweet. So yeah, I just love that this is getting layers upon layers of lace. You can see the blanket in the distance underneath, and then you can see the lace tablecloth, and then I'm adding these other lace pieces over the top. And lace itself was a prompt as well that we got early on. And so I've still got my big box of laces, and I'm adding in as I go along. So yeah, I think that will work well. Then we've integrated across into this piece. I mean, I'm okay if I see bits of the underlying lace as well, but I just thought it's nice to kind of just creep across with adding all the treasures. I've definitely got plenty of treasures to go around. So in terms of colours, I'm thinking that because these two are similar, I might space them out with the brown in between. So I might think to bring this one somewhere like this. Just moving everything a little bit out of the way. Hopefully, I'm just going to jump up and make sure you can still see where I'm working. Yes, good-o. And so I might tuck this one under, and this might be one of those examples where I tuck it under at that end as well, and maybe even under this piece. I might have to unpick 1 or 2 stitches here to get that fully under, but something like that. Wonder if I bring this a bit more over here. Then I could always have one of my buttons or something coming in about there. Might actually bring it down there a bit more. Let's just take that thread out of the way. And then I was thinking the creating piece can go somewhere over here. Actually, I could use even my little flower possibly, but let's have a look what else we've got to put down. I'm thinking then I'll put my piece of patchwork this sweet little flower doily. Also got this little scene as well. It's whether I want to kind of put things on the angle or try and keep them straight. There's always a risk with trying to go totally straight in that you don't end up going straight and then it does look crooked, whereas if you intentionally go crooked, then it's not a problem, is it? So maybe I want to just add a bit more randomness to the layout. Not sure. Maybe I'll go back to trying to go straight. I don't know if this fabric has an up or a down either. I'm looking at it. No, I don't think it's got an up or a down. Okay, so I'll probably, as I say, have to just take a couple of stitches out of this little piece here. Yeah, I quite like having that lace just come a little bit up onto there. I wonder, where might I have that? I was thinking maybe sitting the little reels of cotton there, and we can come back to what we do with that piece there in a moment. Maybe these ones around it can go a bit more on the angle. Then I've got this lovely piece of vintage, which is rather nice. I've also got this one, the coloured silks. So that might even be nice at this end. Another little scrap of fabric. I think I've used that in one of the outer pieces for my little beehive design. And I was wondering if I could use this little button that I got from the lovely, what's the store called? Patchwork. I've got a little card somewhere here if I can find it in my little set of drawers. Not sure if it's in this one. Patch of Heaven, I think it's called. A lovely little quilting store that I buy online from here in Victoria, and they send little extras, and this is a lovely little wooden sewing machine, so I thought that would be perfect for Nana. But I was pondering, it's a little button, and I'm wondering if I can use it to just attach this piece down without actually having to stitch into the piece by running some threads across in both directions. So that's a thought. And then I wanted to make, maybe I move this up a little bit, or maybe this even goes, don't know, we'll come back to that. I did also want to have these with this, and maybe also a lovely little skerrick of, I quite like how the colours go quite nicely between those two. So Maybe something, I guess I might need to move that over a little bit. Move this out of the way for now. And I was wondering if I might likewise be able to use this brooch in some way to help to anchor these little ones down. And I've got this sweet little flower as well that I want to include somewhere. So that might come in there. Hopefully you're not seeing my hair as I poke my head under here. Maybe that will come in up here, like that. Maybe something like that. So I think I quite like it. I'll probably just, yeah, when I fully attach these down to the piece, I might just slightly fiddle around, but I quite like that composition. And then, yeah, I might just add a button there. And maybe a button, because I don't like stitching too much into this either. So I might add a button at each end of those. Maybe a button up there. Another beautiful fabric one, so I might put one in here. Because Nana definitely loved her buttons. And again, maybe I can use some metal buttons to help just anchor this piece down, I wonder. So I'll have a play with that when I'm stitching them down. Got this lovely glass button, this little flower button. Might be nice to include there. And then this other little floral button. So I quite like that, I think. So I'm just going to put some bastes and pins in just to sort of hold things in place for now. As I say, I'll have to do a proper positioning just before I start to tack things down. But at least this gives me a bit of an idea for now, what I'm planning. So yeah, I think what I'll do is run, let me just talk about my thoughts here. For this one, this button, I'm thinking I can put some threads through the button and then run them this way and put them down into the fabric, and then run them across this way as well, maybe using a nice like crochet cotton, a nice coloured one. If I did something like, yeah, I think that would work well. It's a nice gold colour that goes well with that, so I think I'll use that one. And I was also thinking I can potentially use some vintage lace to anchor maybe this little set down and just put the lace across it. So again, I'm not stitching into it, and I might put some across at the bottom as well. So I do want to preserve this, yeah, this little piece. I know someone said I could photograph it and then print it off, but they're going to sit in a box anyway, so I'd probably prefer to give them a place in here. And yeah, I might just put some little pieces like that. Coming across. But yeah, I think I like that, yeah, I like that scene. I'm just going to take a photo of it as well, in case it gets knocked around whatsoever. It's a good thing to do if you've arranged something and you like it that way, even if you're putting pins in, just, yeah, take a quick picture of it. Is that way you've got a little visual reference as you start to, yeah, stitch it all down. This one's got an extra little leaf that I can attach like that. Not quite sure how I'll get the buttons to attach. That's where the photo will come in handy, having the photo where I want the buttons. I might be able to put a little pin through, hold it in place, add another bit of lace, vintage lace to the piece. With these, I guess I'll probably need to stitch through again, unless I use a lace or something to hold them in place. Or otherwise, I suppose I can always put a loop of crochet thread around the base of them and stitch them down that way. Actually, that would probably work, I think. And if it's this colour, it looks just like the wooden bobbin at the base, because they're just so beautiful. No one's ever even used these ones, and they're just perfectly wound and perfectly gorgeous. So with this one, I just used it's not a vintage wooden spindle, it's just one I got in a craft pack, and I used some of this lovely variegated ribbon, or ombre ribbon I guess it would be called, and just stitched using a crochet thread, I think it was, yeah, crochet thread, and just stitched the word seamstress into it with 3 little dashes at the base. And what I'm now thinking is that I'd like to make a little pansy type shape at the end of it. So I'm just looking for where my scissors have gone, because there's a loosey-goosey endy bit. So, because if it's over here, I've got plenty of space, and it might be nice to have it maybe come down somewhere over here and have a little flower. So I'm thinking I can sort of concertina it, either just into a single round, or you can actually twist it and make like little pansy type flowers. So let me grab out some thread that I can use just to stitch the flower bits together as I go. As I say, the wire in the ribbon helps to hold it quite nicely, but it will be good to add a few stitches also. So I love that I've got a kind of a collaborative piece with Nana, with creating and with her sort of favourite things and things of her era, and then yeah, with some more modern bits as well. But I love my vintage and also reclaimed bits, and yeah, frugal bits. Frugal bits is what we'll call them. So I guess a lot of these crafts, even slow stitches, are sort of, as a movement, have come out of making use of things that otherwise might be scraps. You don't need a lot to slow stitch. You can use old shirts, you can use all sorts of things. It's not like you need specialty fabrics like you'd need for cross stitch, or specialty threads even, because in slow stitch you can couch down threads as well, and use whatever fibres you like. So if I now, actually I might do maybe one more little fold, and then we'll try folding it over and see if we can kind of get a separated petal look. So I'm just putting some little stitches in as I concertina it. So I've just twisted it over itself, which will hopefully kind of close off that petal, and then I'll start doing, so I've done a double twist, so I've got the darkest back in the centre, because I think that looks nice for the centre piece. And then I'm just concertinaing it with the ribbon, with the wire helping me do that. So this wouldn't be as easy if you didn't have a wired ribbon. Actually bought myself a few more vintage wired ribbons from France in the Black Friday sales. I tried out a site that I'd been looking at for a while. I had a whole lot sitting in my little cart, and then on Black Friday they took 40 or 50% off. So I thought, oh, may as well, now's the time. You've been waiting, you've been putting it off, Christine, you've been saying no, you don't really need these things, but now you may as well get them. And they had some, yeah, lovely little Liberty packs as well for making, I think, Christmas decorations, but I thought even for the Liberty fabrics alone, the price was incredibly good. So I'll be eagerly awaiting that little package to arrive. Not that I need more things, but sometimes it's nice to have some things. do, it might be even, it might be perfect for my flower, I think. Quite like that. And then I can either maybe put some beading in the center, and I'll just have to work out where I want to sort of arrange it. But I love the lovely blush you get to the petals. So I'll now just so I've got that edge, which is, I guess I can fold that raw edge under, bring that round to meet this edge, and then tighten up the thread to hold it nicely pleated, and then I'll put a stitch through the 2 layers where I've folded it over. Just put a few stitches in. Even put another one just holding it onto the ribbon that it's sitting on to get it to sit nice and flat. So that's pretty good. So I'll just tie that off at the back. So that's an easy way to make a ribbon flower if you don't want to get into ribbon embroidery. Now you can, if you can find yourself some of these wired ribbons, then you can make beautiful flowers. And so yeah, I think it's a lovely combination of Nanna's love of sewing and also her love of the garden. So, and I'd like to kind of keep the texture in the ribbon itself as well, so I don't want to stitch it all down, so I might even end up just stitching it something like this, and then putting some little beads in the center of this one. But I think that's sweet. Let me just check that you can actually see what I've been working on. Hopefully I was on camera the whole time. How are we going for time? Okay, so I wonder, what will I do next? We could have a go. I'm just thinking I probably need to go away, I think, actually, and get everything stitched down. And it's going to be probably too hard to do that on camera because it is just tricky with this blanket being so bulky to do that on camera. But at least that's given you a bit of an idea of what I am thinking for this piece. I'm just having a look to see if I've got anything else that I wanted to add. No, I'll just use this this lovely vintage lace, I think, to create a little pocket there. But I'm happy with how it kind of integrates in over here. I can of course move some of my buttons if I'm going to use the metallics to hold these ones down a bit more. But otherwise I think that will be great. And yeah, some beading here. I'll then have a little space down here where I can add some other bits and pieces, whether it's something like a little bird. I've got other bits that I can stitch on. I think that could be very sweet. It's got sort of a similar flower, so I might even keep that in the mix. And as I say, I'm happy if I see little bits of the lace, because I don't want to totally lose the tablecloth piece underneath either. But yeah, I think the next step will be just to start getting some stitches in place to hold everything, and then this will be a lovely collaborative piece from Nanna and 4B. And then I'm going to, I think after this piece, I'll have Grandpa's piece, my Nanna's husband, so Wilf, the piece that I made for him, and then I think my parents' piece will come in next over here, because I've got Dad's piece and Mum's chooks, but I also want to make a little garden piece as well for Mum. And down the bottom I've got the lovely thread painted flowers, and so I think that might be nice to put sort of Mum's piece maybe down here, if you can see. It's a bit big to move around. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back, I'm sure, with another video to share the further progress on this piece. I think we've got an extra week for this current prompt, and I've still got so much to add, so I'll just keep working away on it. Thanks so much everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.